working at Patchwork was never a breeze early on in those days. BJ was definitely tough on us. He had assignments for us, like, the street team had to go out and pass out flyers. I had to sit up until whatever time, until I was finished, faxing flyers to people. And, it makes sense because you have to have word of mouth. People have to know who you are. We had specials going on. We were trying to get business going. And so I didn't understand it then because I was just a kid. I was 19 years old. And I was like, why do I have to fax all these people? And but I did it because I didn't want to lose my job. But he was definitely tough. And then, Curtis backed him up. I mean, they were all a team. Everyone worked together cohesively. There was never, even though Bob was like, I don't want to call him a mom figure, but he was a softer parent. And then Kurt was like the slave driver, if you will, him and BJ. It never felt like they were disjointed. Everybody was always on the same page and they all supported each other. So for those of us who were under that regime, it was like, okay, well, I guess we gotta do what we gotta do or do what they're saying if we still wanna be here, So it helped solidify my work ethic. I always came up and had a very strong work ethic. And this just kind of helped solidify that even further.
Initially, there was Bob, there was Kurt, Jason was kind of in and out, there was Jarvis, there was myself, there was Dee, there was Jason Jeter, came on like really, really close after that, and there was Erica. And again, and BJ, I can't forget about BJ, and BJ kind of came in on the tail end of that era as well. And it's funny because nobody sat anybody down and trained you for this is how you need to act around so-and-so, or this is how you, I think everybody had a vibe, everybody worked well together, and there was no show in terms of when we worked. There was no Hollywood or I'm so-and-so and it was, we got to get this done and we're trying to make the studio work. And whatever needs to happen to make the studio work, because there were some lean times too, this is what we got to do to make it work. And so we're a team and we're trying to get it done. So nobody was even focused on this is Outkast or this is Total or this is Usher or, any of those things. It was, we got a job to do and we're trying to do it to the best of our ability to make the studio successful. So all the egos, if there was an ego, I never saw one. It was, we got to get this thing, we got to make this work. And the people that we happen to work with are people that are very well known and famous. But we still, as a business, have to make this business work. So that was our approach.
Because Organized Noise is a group of 3 engineers, they had this little thing where Pat would come in about maybe 9, work till 10, 11 o'clock, he go home. Ray come in, work from like 11 till about 1 or 2 o'clock. And if I was lucky, I was able to go home at 2. If not, if Rico made it there, we were going to at least 5 o'clock in the morning. And it was, so that was like going every day. And because I had to set up, I still had to be back here by 1 o'clock because I had to set up for this session for the next day. So as one person, that kind of wears on you. And Cal Fonte was always there. And he was always, as I was doing things, he was always there and he understood what was going on. So it started being like a situation where, man, I just need to shut my eyes for like 20, 30 minutes. Can you cover for me? So it started being that. It started being like, cover for me. Let's keep working. And it went from that to him taking his own sessions. And then he had a day, I had a day. And the days that I was off, he was working. And what days he was off, I was working. That was kind of how it went.
BJ, baby Jesus, baby Jew, whatever they called him, because he was the money guy. BJ, cool brother. Always been a cool brother, but he was tight like that booty when it came to money. As he should be, though. I mean, we at that time, again, were a very small business and it was a startup company. And so it makes sense that he had to really crunch those numbers, you know. But BJ was always super chill. He never really got above a decibel of like 5, but you knew he meant business. And I think I was more intimidated by him than I was by Curtis, because Curtis, even though he's a big guy, you can tell he's a softie on the inside, but he doesn't play. And so even back then, one of the things that he told me off the rip when he hired me was like, so you're working here, that means you can't date any of the clients. Like, they're gonna hit on you. You're a cute girl, so you're gonna be professional. If you wanna be in this business, you don't wanna ever cross those lines. And so even to this day, like 25 years later, I am still hearing that piece of advice in my head.
BJ, man, like, it's funny because I mean, like that's my guy. You know what I'm saying? Like 25 years later or whatever, you know what I'm saying? 20 years later, that's my guy, you know? Spoke to BJ this morning, you know what I'm saying? But back then, I think it was the same thing. I think, you know, shit, BJ was pretty serious, you know? BJ would be in his office a lot with the door closed. Like, BJ was trying to, I think, he was trying to maintain a level of professionalism though, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it was funny because it was, you know, little things that, you know, the little things that you'll see, like, he was trying to maintain that level of professionalism. But BJ was cool though. I mean, like, you know, he was cool. He was definitely about trying to get the label off the ground, you know? And obviously, I know, you know, from having 3 artists that wasn't even, well, actually, Mean Green was in Atlanta. He moved to Atlanta, but the other 2 artists weren't even in Atlanta, you know. So I can only imagine that challenge back then, you know, trying to break artists that on the other side of the country, you know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, it was some challenges, you know. But he was cool, and he was trying to get the label off the ground, you know. But to me, like, for me, I got to know BJ and Curtis more after I stopped working at Patchwork, to be honest with you. When I was working there, they were both cool, kind of like big brothers, but, you know, they definitely drew those lines to maintain a level of professionalism. So I wasn't as close as I, you know, became with them during that time, you know?
We all did wear multiple caps. So yes, I was the receptionist initially, but then I was also the cold caller. So we would get these thick books of phone numbers and fax numbers, and BJ would have us faxing our flyer to like hundreds of people. And I found an old picture of myself sitting on top of the desk with my patchwork, I think it was a patchwork jacket on back then, and I actually had long hair. And I'm sitting there because I'm tired and I'm literally faxing like nonstop. Like, and so BJ was a workhorse in that way. Like, he was like, you're gonna do this, this, and this. And, you know, so in that way, yeah, we definitely did more than just one job. We had to wear multiple hats. And so we were cleaning the studio and we're greeting the guests.
Whew. Managing the studio, the day-to-day business, that everything that goes on. Curtis was here in the morning time, and then I would come in the evening. So making sure that everything was ran smoothly, from the sessions to booking the sessions to collecting the payments to interacting with the clients or the artists to make sure they have everything that they need and they're following the rules. Their entourage, everyone is being respectful. That was like a big thing for me when I was managing, the respect level. Like, you're gonna respect everybody, from not just me being a manager, but to the interns. Respect across the board was huge. And so making sure the facility was clean, making sure we had everything that we needed when we needed it, making sure that everyone in the building was safe, and walking through, making sure everything was smooth, making sure my presence was felt as far as being a manager. I'm here for everybody. And like I said, the day-to-day, and you never know. Every day is different. Like, every day is different. You have the days that are smooth. You have days that are slow. You have days that it's a lot of people. It's 20 to 30 people in an entourage, and you're managing everyone and making sure that everything is running smoothly and putting out any fires or trying to prevent any fires. So I think that's the biggest thing, is foreseeing things and being able to have those solutions and knowing how to handle certain things, and not, or being confident in your role and not crumbling under pressure, because it's always going to be pressure. And at the time, I think I was one of the youngest people here, and I was the manager, and I was a woman. So I knew that I was just going to have some pushback from males. I'm going to have some pushback from the artists, but it was my duty, and one of my main focuses was just to build authentic relationships with people, because I think if you build a relationship, that level of respect is going to be mutual, and my age or me being a woman is just going to go out the window. But I had to overcome that, because so many people were so used to dealing with Kurt, and it was situations where people be like, oh, just call Kurt. I was like, you can call him, but you're still gonna have to come through me. Like, it's a level of respect as far as respecting people's position and their authority, and not allowing people to, one, disrespect you, or to try to like play you in a way, you know what I mean? So that was one of the difficult things I think I had to overcome, was just establishing that respect and my presence here. And once it was smooth sailing after that.
Patchwork brought like business acumen for real, you know? To me, as a young dude coming up through it, but also reflecting on it, like, I always would give Curtis that credit, because it's hard to be a young businessman of the culture, you know, and mixing with other people that are like your age, your peers in a sense, right? Of the culture, you know, and to maintain a certain level of professionalism, to lead, you know, people, like, those are challenging things, you know? So to me, I'll definitely say that's something that I feel like, shit, look, we're 25 years later talking about it, you know, and you can see the constant progression over the 25 years, you know, which is a great test to exactly what I'm saying. You know, I feel like the business acumen is really the level of professionalism that Patchwork has always seeked, you know, because I mean, of course, now you look at it and it's like, damn, it's kind of corporate compared to when it was in a house. But you can see how, like I said, it consistently progressed, you know, so.
Kurt had one very important quality, and that was he knew what he didn't know and was willing to learn it. So the first thing I remember about Kurt was he had a book on studio management, and he had it like a Bible. He was just like, he was going back to that book over and over and over again. And when we had an issue happen, it happened once. It wasn't like that happened. We make that mistake and then we make that mistake again. We make that mistake once. And it never happened again.
Kurt is running the company like a Fortune 500 company. He cares about himself, his business. That entails me, he cares about his employees. When you care about yourself and your business, and you start caring about the people that bring business into your household, that's when you become a flourishing business, and you end up becoming a very large conglomerate, right? There is a difference between those that care and those that don't. Those that care give their employees 401ks, they give the employees benefits, they give the employees salaries, they give the employees, because they understand the dynamic of what it takes to become a serious player in the business space, right?
Curtis was coming into a situation where he had to figure out a whole lot of things real quick, because Bob was going to have to bail because of the NFL. Jarvis was the engineer. Bob's mom was kind of handling things, but she was doing it more as a let me help my son than a this is what I do. And Bob basically tagged Curtis to make it work. Whatever you got to do to make it work, make it work. So when I met Curtis, he came in like, okay, I'm running this and I need to handle this business, and this is what we need to do. I don't know everything, and I'm gonna get in these books and figure it out. And I'm not afraid to get into a book and figure it out. So that was his personality. So a lot of folks were intimidated by Curtis. I wasn't, because I get along with everybody. But a lot of people, because of his presence, were intimidated by just his management style. He's going to talk direct. He's going to talk with authority. And either you deal with it or you don't. That was kind of how Curtis was.
So you got to realize when you got two brothers coming up out of higher education of that type of caliber, they coming into a workspace to train, to teach, to evolve as much as they can, those that get it. And that's really dope and admirable, that they actually did exactly what we want our people to do all the time. Go somewhere, learn some education, come back, enhance the neighborhood. Beautiful. I'm not shocked though. How long we've known Kurt? He hasn't changed. Same guys as I met him. Same melancholy, slow walking, driving, inspirational, ethical, same tone talking dudes as I met him. Never gets too excited. He might smile every once in a while. I never seen him yell. God damn, I've been on that motherfucker a long time. He never yelled.
Knowing Curtis, whether we're talking about his relationship with Michigan State football and Michigan State and, you know, people that still live up in Michigan or people that he went to college with or people that he's worked with, I think Curtis has always been into facilitating good relationships with people and team building. And for what it's worth, I think Patchwork has always been I hate to say that it's a study in that or an experiment in doing that, but I think that it is. And it always, I think, is about bringing people together and resources together. And on a grander scale, since the beginning, even involving people who were just working with Patchwork, he's always tried to create softball games, trips to the beaches, cookouts, dinners, events at the studio that bring people together so that other conversations start. And also, I think, because it helps to create a more tight-knit organization that ultimately is more efficient.
He treats us like it's his kid. And that's the only way it's going to be, it's the only way it's going to work and be as big as it is. And that's a testament to why the studio is the way it is, man. Right? I appreciate it, man. Even down to the way he treats his friends. He never changes up, man. There's never a change up. There's always what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. You got to appreciate that. That's just business, man. And that's the difference between Patchwork and them other studios. The personal touch. That's real, man. That's real.
Curtis, man. Mr. Curtis Patchwork, man. Let me tell you about Kurt, man. Hey, man. Let me tell you about Curtis, man. He's like, man, words. Let me get my words together right quick, man.
That's our big brother.
I want to say a strong brother too, man, because just the different energies that's done been through here. Man, to still be here today, bro, and still have the same facial expression. He didn't ever get, I'm sure he's stressed in his own, you know, wherever, right, behind closed door, maybe we all do. But he never showed it, man. The man,
always a good man.
The man level of talking has never changed. You know what I mean? It never went this way or down. It's always been level. You know what I'm saying? And Kurt always, man, reach out to us. And that mean a lot to me. You know what I'm saying?
And he always been 100.
Always.
No sugarcoating. It is what it is.
Always.
You know what I'm saying? And I like that. You know?
And man, he understand who we are. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I like his humbleness as well, because, you know, I'm pretty much the same guy. You know, man, I might talk a little slick, but I'm real humble, man. And I love that about him. You know what I'm saying? And that's what kept me through this industry too. You know what I'm saying? Just understanding. You know what I mean? Understand the people. Understanding how folks is. And I think Kurt understand people. You know what I'm saying? He understand where they at in their life at that time.
And I don't think I ever, you know, it's a lot of people that talk there. I've never heard no one say nothing bad about Kurt.
Nah.
Ever.
No.
You know, Patchwork neither just...
They can't.
Right.
Because usually, because you'll know if somebody said anything bad about Kurt, because they probably got a big old lip right now. You know what I mean? You look for everybody with big lips. That's who said something about Kurt. You know what I mean?
In my conversations with Curtis, he's always been trying to find a way to make the music game more accessible for the everyday average person. It's like you have to go through so many steps to get your music on the radio, so many steps to get your stuff mixed, then mastered. You know, I remember him talking to me about it and was like, man, I want people to just be able to come here and they can go from being in Patchwork, walking through the door, to walking out and everything that they need is here. And, you know, he's been a visionary as it pertains to that. And, you know, watching, you know, I even went downstairs and that used to be the chill out room. Now that's the dungeon for the mastery, you know what I'm saying? I'm just proud to be a Patchwork alumni. You know, I could really say that Patchwork has hurt me in a certain way, and I'd like for you to keep this on the video, is that, you know, there's these Patchwork jackets, right? That I really think are really cool, you know, and I want to be a part of the in crowd, and I was promised one, and you know, the summer is coming, and I wear my Patchwork Letterman jacket in the summertime if I received it, but I didn't, you know, so.
Curtis was stressed because we were at a point where we were almost at a point after we had generated a little bit of buzz and we had started to get some clients in, but it wasn't, at that particular point, it wasn't enough. And again, he came in as, Bob's kind of pegged me to run this. I'm gonna do what I need to do to make this work. And I'm figuring this stuff as I go, but I'm the manager, so you're gonna have to handle your business if I ask you to do something. And so again, there was a learning curve for him of how can I manage these different people and personalities and make this business successful at the same time, because it looks like it may just fold. And so there was a lot of thinking on the fly in terms of promotional campaigns and trying to make that work. There was sacrifice, because sometimes I might not have a whip or D might not have a whip. And so we would all ride the Beam, which is this little Nissan Sentra that he would push.
Once again, my relationship with Kurt back then would be different. You know, I'm sure you'll probably ask BJ or Clay or something and they maybe tell you, you know, more. But for me, Kurt was my boss. You know what I'm saying? Like, but for the most part though, I would say Kurt was, I think everybody was pretty much the same characters. I can definitely say that. Like everyone character-wise, like it's not like, yo, we switched up in a major way or yo, just got brand new or anything. But I just got to know them in a different way as I got older. You know what I'm saying? But Kurt was the same, man. Kurt was a drill sergeant in a sense. You know, yo, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? It's your checklist. You gotta, you know. But I always respected it because it was structured. You know, and for me wanting to be an entrepreneur, I knew that, you know, these are the things that I'm learning that's gonna be able to benefit me for real.
It's so hard to recount the lessons that I learned from Kurt because I feel like they became a part of my personality. So to recount for you the different things that he would say it's difficult. Staying professional is everything. And I think, you know, keeping a level of professionalism, I think, is one thing he beat into my head personally. And customer service. You know, he's always been big on customer service, and he approaches that from an angle of, if I were the customer, if I were the client, I would want blah, blah, blah. And I think putting yourself in a position like that and displacing yourself in that way is one of the reasons for his success and for the success of this company. He does give a crap about the people that come here. He gives a crap about the music. He gives a crap about the reputation of this business and the people that he hires. He doesn't want to bring on people who are not going to properly represent his brand, and that's smart. That's good thinking. So that also when you are an employee of Patchwork and you leave here, you have some moral fiber, you have something that you stand on, you stand tall, you have integrity, and you walk away knowing I'm not gonna sell myself short and I'm not gonna misrepresent myself.
My relationship with Curtis over the years has definitely evolved. I think working alongside him, being the evening manager, was definitely a learning experience. Like, we bumped heads, we were able to laugh, we had our disagreements. But I think ultimately, if there was any doubt of my ability or whatever, I was able to prove myself. Toward the end of my management, before I left Patchwork, me and Kurt, yes, we had our disagreement, and it wasn't good, like, we definitely had a disagreement, we definitely bumped heads, and we didn't speak for a while because we were able to address it in a mature way and take accountability for the situation, or each party, everyone involved taking accountability for their, their part in it, strengthen our relationship. And so because of that and having those conversations and getting back on track, is what led me to the evolution of our relationship now. Because it transitioned from like him being my boss to now I look at him more of like a mentor. So the conversation is different. But I think that I've proven myself to him as far as what I brought to the table at Patchwork, and I think he appreciates it now.
I love Curtis to death. Like, he knows that. Like, he is cool. Like, he's a cool people. He's a good person, right? He has that demeanor about him that you respect him, you know that he knows what he's talking about, and you want to hear what he has to say, or you want to take his input. All of that and how it's like comfortable and easy, and you want to work with him and all that kind of stuff, that don't mean shit when it comes to actually working with him, because he can be scary as hell. And it's not just his size. It's just not because he's tall, and like, it's because like, it's the bass in his voice, it's his height, it's his face when he's not happy with something. And there definitely was always something that you did not want to disappoint him. You wanted to do what would garner his, appreciation, satisfaction, him acknowledging that you've done a really good job. I won't say that he's like a carrot, like he's instead of a carrot, he's a stick type of, you know what I'm talking about? Like, instead of giving a carrot, you beat the shit out of somebody with a stick. That's the two types of how you deal with someone. It's not that he's all the way stick, but he makes you work for the friendship. He makes you work for the laugh, the smile. You know what I mean? Like, he makes you work for that. That's not like just his like work style. That's just his personality. And that's why when I had started managing, like, we had the conversation where he was like, you can't be friends with them anymore, because he keeps that divide. Like, he's like, there's business and then there's friendship. And I think everybody would want to try and get on that. Every once in a while, you'd see that friend side of him, and everybody wanted to get on that side. So you do what you need to do. You do your job so that you could get that good side of him.
I always have seen Curtis as like a brother, like, he like all butt heads, like, he's always been a tough ass. Like, he is very careful about business. Like, he's got really strong feelings about stuff, but he's right. Like, he does things that definitely will rub people the wrong way. Like, if people are used to, doing things in their own little path. Like, but Curtis has a vision. He's very, very organized and puts a lot of structure into like enacting that vision. And I think that he's the backbone of what Patchwork is. Like, and he always has been and always will be. Like, Bob was more, the vicarious, just fun, like, look at me sort of guy. And Curtis has always been there He's the same person.
Energy and all,
Since
bro.
day one.
The same level, bro.
And we're not saying it just because we're doing this on
Real,
camera.
real. That's
We're
real
being
talk, man.
genuinely honest about this. Like, he's been a same, like, since day one.
Look at
Always open arms.
Shabo, that's why I'm here, man, to talk about Patchwork. I could not be here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I couldn't just be at home. Man, look here, bro. I got about my bed like I was going on tour today. You know what I'm saying? You feel? I put cologne on and everything, man.
Because I'm going to say this, without the studio, how we going to record?
Without Patchwork, how we going?
So that's what I'm saying. So this is what I'm saying. Like, without that studio, it wouldn't be no Youngblood.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And
Patchwork.
we would have probably been kicked out of anybody else's studio.
And that's facts.
I don't care how much money you got, y'all got to go home.
Yeah, that's
You know what I
facts.
mean?
You know.
So, man, real, like I sincerely mean this. You know what I'm saying? We is Patchwork. Patchwork is in us, man. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, Curtis, let me tell you something about Curtis. Curtis is probably one of the most astute businessmen that you will ever want to meet. You know, like he was always like, I struggled before Curtis because I got up at 9 o'clock in the morning and Curtis got up too, you know? And to have somebody that I could call like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, even today, like I call Curtis 8 o'clock in the morning. That's how our relationship always was. Like everybody else, while everybody else was sleeping, me and Curtis were working. We were trying to get things ready for the next day. I knew that I could get up, come to the studio early, work with Curtis, get things set up, and be good and be done. Call it a day.
I remember thinking, because his younger brother, Marlon, worked here, Blaze One, Southwest Click, worked here too. And sometimes, man, the way Curtis would talk to Marlon, again, going back to that, the way you talk to your coworkers and the way you talk to your siblings and your family is different. I would be like, sir, you can't be talking to people like that. But that's the stick. You didn't want the stick. Marlon got the stick all the time. You did not want the stick. But I don't know. It's weird. It's like a smidge like being in a cult where it's like, is this how it's supposed to be? I don't know, but I like it. I've been in this bunker so long. I'm used to it. You know what I mean?
From my perspective, what I saw from him, it was, I'm coming into a situation, I'm real rough around the edges, but I got a vision of where I'm trying to go. And y'all just gotta hold tight and roll with me as I hit these bumps and navigate these situations. And I'm not always gonna be able to communicate the best way what that vision is. Just know that we're trying to get there. And whatever it's going to take to get there, just hold tight, follow my lead, and we'll get there. So from my perspective, and I'm hoping I'm answering your question well enough, but from my perspective, I saw roughness kind of get polished and shaped and matured, and to go from sort of a overseer to a real manager, where he managed personalities, he managed expectations, and he managed this business into something that ended up being successful.
Patchwork is one of those places that you have to mention. Patchwork, especially being in a chocolate city like Atlanta, and the whole world is doing what we created. We didn't create rap, but this genre of rap that everybody's doing, that's us. And Patchwork is a big part of that. So to me, there's no way that you shouldn't be mentioning Patchwork when it comes to music culture, because the world is doing what we're doing now. The world, somewhere in England, somebody's doing, but what the Beatles were doing, because of what the Beatles were doing, Abbey Road is a studio that everybody mentions. Because of what Michael Jackson did and Quincy Jones, Westlake is a place that everybody mentions in LA. Well, Patchwork is equal to or better than a lot of those spots. And it's been more than just one huge artist that came through these walls and delivered great material.
But what I do know about Patchwork and my time working here and understanding why it's still a force to be reckoned with today is that there's always been a special system implemented here that was unlike any other business model that I've ever seen before, especially for a recording studio. So the intern system, the on down to the front desk people, like this shit is almost like a military type deal. You know what I'm saying? How tight knit the studio was ran.
Even I went on camera, I say this, like, it's a space of total respect. And I think that's what Patchwork has gotten all these years. A lot of times people forget the actual verbiage of what people say and what they do. They only remember the nostalgia, euphoric in the space of where they at, right? And that's why I've always, whenever I think about Patchwork, I think of great times, right? And when I'm in them other studios, nothing against them, but I never felt a great time. And I think that's why it's been such a long and short journey for Patchwork.
I always thought that it was better for Atlanta to have more than one great studio. We can have 4 or 5, it makes it better. And so just watching people who I know didn't talk, didn't share, didn't empower people, kind of make that turn to start sharing information and helping people, I think has been cool. And I think we've been influential in that. I always tell people that, you know, we don't have to make an announcement that we're helping people and that we're sharing knowledge. We don't have to make an announcement that we're a clean studio, because those are things that we've been doing for 25 years. People know that if they want to learn something or figure out how to do something, that they can call us and we're going to help them. People already know that our studios are clean and that we don't smoke in the rooms, and this is one of the places you can be safe at. Our impact is we changed the studio culture in Atlanta, which in turn changed, you know, or helped change or facilitate our dominance in the hip hop and R&B music scene. We gave our artists a place where they can feel comfortable enough to bare their souls. And we created a place that they can call home and that they can invite others over and make their creations. We turned this studio business from a hospital or sterile facility or business into a multi-purpose venue where we can do anything. We can shoot movies, we can have birthday parties, we can do yoga, we can do food tastings. We're a full-fledged event facility that can capture great audio and document it with video. And so I think our contribution to our culture is, you know, we taught people that it's okay to dream and that you can do it long as you put the hard work behind it.
I'm definitely not surprised that Patchwork stood the test of time, because once again, like I say, like Curtis in particular has always been focused. You know what I'm saying? Obviously the dude's an athlete, so I guess maybe that's where he comes from, right? Being a football player and, you know, running them laps. But I mean, he's always had that level of focus, you know? Curtis, he wasn't partying, like even younger. He didn't go out, like, I'm not gonna say he didn't go out. He wasn't out like clubs and stuff like that. He didn't do that, you know what I'm saying? So to me, you know, he always maintained a certain level of professionalism, you know? So I'm definitely not surprised that it stood the test of time from that standpoint. You know, we have challenges and hurdles and obstacles, but, you know, as they say, prepare during the time of war. I mean, peace for, you know, prepare for war during the time of peace, you know? So if you're always preparing and, you know, you're ready for it when it comes, you know? So I think that that's the dope thing about Curtis as a leader. I think that Patchwork is a true testament to that, to his, you know, ingenuity, you know, to his this commitment, you know, to growing. And I think it's dope that, like I said, if I say, yo, this is like college, it's like, shit, he like a he leading a lot of different people. There's a lot of people, you know, myself included, that have come up out of here and went on to do other things, you know, so I think that's dope. Now, where's it going? I think that's just only up to where they want to take it. You know, I would have to, I don't know what his vision is, where he wants to go with it at this point, you know? But I think that it can go wherever he wants to take it for real.
We're 25, we're young, we don't even know what we're doing yet. It's almost like, yeah, we celebrate, like we celebrate birthdays, we celebrate each other, and I think what Patchwork's right now, and damn, this is probably taking a turn, but I think that because we are so young as a music culture in Atlanta, there's gonna be a little more time before it reverberates what happened based on this. And in the same way that when you see documentaries about Abbey Road or Sunset Sound, you know, they're like, some of those studios don't exist. It's like, you kind of don't want to celebrate too early. Like, you know, it's still a game to be played. So I don't know if people don't notice, because I feel like it's impossible to say people don't notice the impact Patchwork has and the importance that it has in the city. Like, I don't know if you can talk to any artist in Atlanta who's made any impact who won't tell you how something that they did at Patchwork became something that the world, you know, moved to. So I think the celebration comes after you look back and realize, like, I don't know that Atlanta necessarily gets celebrated in that way yet. I think we celebrate ourselves, but it's gonna take a minute for people to notice how many things happen based on things that happen. And Patchwork is definitely gonna be one of those names that show up in the history of music and culture in Atlanta. Like Gucci, Outkast, T.I., Future, Pee Wee the Long Way, Migos, Youngbloods, Goody Mob, Organized Noise. You know, it's like all of these things, all of these different crews, groups, artists came through here and were able to be comfortable enough to make things that the world loves. So, you know, it's no coincidence in that. Like, that's actually a common denominator.
To me, what I would be most proud of, that it's not only still here, it's thriving. It's not here, you know, limping, you know, and stuff, you know, barely working. Like, you know, sometimes you see places, not just studios, any place of business, you're like, man, why don't you just shut it down? You know, like, you barely making it. Like, what's the point? Like, the business is still, you know, nothing has changed, you know, as far as the level of clientele, the way it's run, the way, I mean, it still looks like it did 20 years ago.
I think one of the things that I take great joy out of is having the opportunity to work on a lot of people's first album. We're blessed to work on the second and third, but the first albums mean so much, man. When you're a brand new artist, you got to work with some credible producers, and your sound got to be on point just for you to get a chance. So the fact that we got to do Sierra's first album, Luda's first album, Jeezy's first album, T.I.'s first album, Akon's first album, you know, Rick Ross, just so little, all these different people, that means a lot to me. We gave them a foundation. And if you go back 25 years later and you play some of these songs, Outkast, Youngbloods, Attic Crew, Shorty Swing My Way, all these records, sonically, they still sound good. And they stood the test of time. And so, you know, that's what we've done. We've been consistent. Like I say, I can respect the fact that, you know, the people before us have been celebrated and are still celebrated, like LaFace Records and So Def and Organized Noise and Rowdy Records and all that stuff. But, you know, I'll put our track record up against anyone. From Atlanta, we've been here for 25 years, operating on a high level every single year. And some of those places, although they're great and they had their runs, they may have only been around and been active for 6, 7, 8, 9 years at a time. And we're blessed to still be rolling.
In the next 25 years.
Like I said, historic, like somewhere you can, where the kids can walk through and see the plaques, a museum, you know what I'm saying? Like,
They need that, man. They need that, man. They need to actually, I think, for the next 25 years and more to come, man, all these colleges and schools, man, they need to have contracts with Patchwork and show them kids with really from ground up. You know what I'm saying? Run them through here, man. Let them catch them vibe. Let them catch this spirit that's in here. Let them catch this, man, because there's a lot of energy in here, man.
Yep.
It's energy in here of greatness, man, of great black folks, man.
Yeah, man. You know,
they like Martin Luther King, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what this is.
Just to walk through and see it, like, it would be like a museum, man. It's something.
And also too, I see Patchwork really, man, being a part of this a record label. You know what I'm saying? Like a record label, management and everything. Cause man, they know the ins and outs. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people need help out here, man. You know what I'm saying?
Cause it's definitely no more artist development.
Cause if I like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking about me first coming in, us first coming in, not really knowing nothing about the business. You know what I'm saying? Man, I just see Patchwork being a help to our community and to our people, man, in every aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? Management, black and white, you know what I mean? The engineering part, you know what I'm saying? I just see Patchwork being the industry, man.
What makes it really dope, man, because I love myself and I love my people, that he black. That's really fucking dope, man. We need more of that shit. We need more black businesses running with ethics, structure, and character. Patchwork.
To me, I think after 25 years, it's about that. It's about legacy. It's about honoring my mother. It's about honoring my family, about honoring Bird, honoring Wino, honoring Curtis, honoring, to its extent, to Bob and BJ, to everybody that went through this journey together. I'll do my part in honoring. I want to honor, and some of it I gotta let sleeping dogs lie. But I do, this is a testament that it can be done. And just think about if we would have done it all righteously, then that even would be that much sweeter. But it's still sweet. It's sweet to be able to walk in here and smile and tell people I love them and I appreciate them. Met you, nigga. We good. Like, that's what Patchworks, that's what this shit mean. I mean, legacy. Our parents left the South. Kurt mama from Louisiana, I don't know about his pops. My mama was 19 when she left Louisiana. My daddy from Arkansas. They met in LA. And now we building some shit back in the South, and they ain't running the South. You understand what I'm saying? We built some shit, they ain't running a nigga from nowhere. That's what it mean to me. 25 years of niggas with dreams, nigga. And I'm part of the dream, the fucking foundation of it. Bob could have played football and made $20 million a year, period, for 15, however many years he did it, and didn't have to build this. This is a testament about me and him and Kurt. That's what this is. It's a testament to our dreams together, and it can be done. It shows me it can be done.
The impact of Patchwork over these first 25 years, I'm not gonna say the last 25, is, you know, in my mind, I always say it's like BP and AP. So there's before Patchwork and there's after Patchwork. Before Patchwork, there weren't, you know, me and Bob, Mike's white, but me and Bob were black. So when we started, we noticed that there weren't a lot of black guys on the technical side of the studio business. And I'm a firm believer in seeing something, either mentally thinking something, physically seeing it to confirm it, and then that giving you hope or reality that you can do it. I've known how many people we've influenced to be like, I don't even think that this was a business that people was thinking about getting into. But when they looked up and saw two 23 and 4-year-old black dudes doing it, they thought that they can do it. I always say, like, you don't see, you know, black people out making cars because they don't have an inspiration. They don't see other people doing it. They just think it's something that's unattainable. So by us doing what we did, I know that we motivated and sparked a lot of young black people to believe that they can do a studio because they saw us doing it. And then, you know, we've changed the culture of Atlanta because prior to us being in a preeminent position, Atlanta was really clicked out, and Atlanta, at least in the studio world, wasn't sharing information. And, we changed that. I was a big believer that if we knew something and we shared the information, it made Atlanta better, not just us better.
It's a good thing that it's able to stand the test of time and, live out to help everybody else. It's a good place for young people to start their careers off. There were so many superstars that came through here that weren't superstars when they came through here. So it was one of the things that we really enjoyed about being in this type of industry and this type of clientele in Atlanta is that everybody comes in here with big dreams and big ambitions. And that's what brought me into Atlanta. That's what brought Curtis to Atlanta. It was the dreams and ambitions of doing something that not only would be positive, but can, like I say, last a long time, And I think Patchwork has done a great service to the city of Atlanta, letting guys really explore their talent and really shine. And there's so many just successful artists that just started out sleeping on the couches, whether it's this studio on Hemphill or it's the original one on McMillan. Just so many guys that just T.I. before he was even T.I., he came to the studio. Rico Blade, Outkast, Goody Mob, they all came through, and to this day, they still like brothers. So it's one of the good things, a good community that was created in Atlanta with this music scene, and Patchwork was a big part of it.
Cool. But I wanted to talk about the contest, NFL thing, but that was great.
All right, because I knew I had to do that over too. But all right, let's talk about NFL. All
right, action.
Yeah.
Sonically superior.